Hey guys, SuperHorrorBro Mike here, and in today's video, we take a look at the mysterious tapes Sal unlocks throughout his journey in Sallyface Episode 4 The Trial. Recently, I showed you the locations of each of these tapes and the creepy messages they contained. In this video, we turn our attention to an analysis and theory looking at who the woman on these tapes is and what the messages she has recorded actually mean. So sit back, relax, and let's begin this video by quickly recapping with an overview of the contents of these tapes. In these tapes, we encounter a frightened woman who cannot clearly remember who she is, but states a burning pain washed over her moments before appearing in this strange realm. She feels at loss and in despair. She claims to have seen a phantom-like figure in this realm, a figure who flickers in and out of sight as if trapped in a parallel reality. In fact, this woman claims to have seen others parallel to this realm she is trapped within. Their appearance is brief and she feels an ominous presence all around her. The woman feels her humanity draining within this realm. She is losing touch with herself. In fact, as the tapes go on, she feels as if someone is constantly spying on her. It seems as though she is speaking to someone on the other side of a camera. She talks of people gathering to create a bridge between two realities, people who mean to open a vortex into the world she now resides within. She grows hungry but never dies. She feels like she is starving in this place and visually becomes less human in appearance. The woman says she feels constant hunger. There is no light and no way to sleep. She glimpses a life beyond her reach. The woman grows crazier and begins to speak about her skin, commenting on how it continuously itches and is not hers. She begins to speak of ghosts within this realm who have flesh she craves. Although she says the ghosts will not give up their flesh. She says there is nothing left now, and uses the phrase, "we have consumed," as if she now speaks as a combined entity rather than herself. The woman grows more horrific in appearance as rage overtakes her. She refers to unknown beings as swine at the feet of God and filthy animal corpses scurrying across the dirt. She says the words, "we will annihilate every molecule of their pitiful existence," finally breaking the TV set in the last recording. So these tapes contain some weird messages, but what does it all mean? Well, in order to make sense of these ramblings, we need to take a look at the woman on these tapes and identify who exactly she is. There is evidence pointing towards a certain character in the story of Sallyface who may well be this woman. Although she is a protagonist, we have never actually met face to face. The woman in these tapes is Evelyn, the sister of Jim Johnson. You may be asking, who? These two characters are not too prevalent while playing Sallyface, but they are referenced in chapters 3 and 4, and their existence explains much about the greater story of the game, specifically the contents of these mystery tapes. In chapter 3, it is possible to unlock a journal from Jim Johnson, and in chapter 4, an additional conversation between Sallyface and Larry while visiting the treehouse. During this exchange, Sal talks to Larry about Jim Johnson, who has been appearing to him as a ghostly apparition and communicating via these journal entries. Jim was Larry's father, but disappeared completely one day from his life and never returned, leaving Larry and his mother Lisa feeling betrayed and abandoned. Sal explains a story that at first seems illogical, but begins to make sense when applied to the events happening within the game. Jim was an alien being who escaped from his home planet with his sister Evelyn after an event referred to as the Plague of Shadows ravaged their home world and consumed both of Evelyn's sons. This event was believed to be a product of the often referenced red-eyed demon, as it caused the eyes of those who have been infected by the plague and their behaviour to become demonic and aggressive. Evelyn was engulfed in flame and disappeared as Jim landed the ship on Earth. Jim, in a state of despair, stumbled inside Addison Apartments, where he was taken in by Alison Rosenberg and eventually met Lisa Garcia, who he fell in love with. Jim and Lisa then had a baby who they called Larry, and for several years everything was fine. However, one day Jim had a terrible nightmare. In this nightmare vision, Lisa and Larry had befallen a horrendous death, and a twisted version of Alison Rosenberg informed Jim he must work with a secret cult-like society beneath the apartments to try and stop these evil forces from spreading and his nightmare coming true. Jim, having seen the work of a red-eyed demon firsthand on his home planet, agreed to leave his family behind and work with this cult in secret. However, it appears he was tricked. The cult, also referred to as the Devourers of God, were actually working against Jim's wishes and using him to help communicate with a red-eyed demon and bring it to the physical plane on Earth. So Jim's mission was in vain, and he turned to Sal to try and communicate a warning message. What all of this means is that the woman on the tape is indeed Jim's sister Evelyn. We know that she died engulfed in flame, and so this burning description matches up. This also explains why Evelyn grows less and less human throughout the tapes and more demonic. It seems as though upon escaping their home planet, Evelyn, unbeknownst to her brother Jim, had indeed become infected by the Plague of Shadows, meaning that upon her death she was trapped in the Shadow Realm and eventually drained of her soul and turned into a disciple of the Red-Eyed Demon. This red-eyed demon we have caught sight of before in early chapters of the game, and it seems as though this cult, the Devourers of God, used Jim to communicate with his sister Evelyn, who was carrying the plague, and by doing so were able to summon this demon into the Addison apartments, which of course eventually led to those inside to become infected by the Shadow Plague themselves. Which of course is why Sal was instructed to murder them all in order to purge the outbreak and stop the red-eyed demons spreading further. This communication with Evelyn from the ritual chamber beneath Addison Apartments meant that her soul became trapped in a parallel universe that mirrored the apartment block. We can see what looks like the corridors of the apartment behind her in this footage. We also know that Evelyn was speaking into cameras, and what do we find all over the Addison Apartments? Why, the security cameras, of course, meaning the person she is speaking to behind the camera is likely Mr. Terrence Addison in the realm of the living, as he had access to all of these camera feeds from within his apartment and had been consumed himself by a being known as the Endless One. But we won't go too far into that in order to keep this explanation simple. This does however mean that the ghostly figure we meet in Sal's nightmare behind door number 4 is indeed Evelyn too, as she cries before a security camera. Yet more evidence to confirm this theory. At the end of chapter 4, we see that the cult has managed to bring the plague upon the inhabitants of Addison Apartment, and like with Evelyn, we can see from conversations had with these people that they have already begun to lose their humanity and turn into demonic figures themselves, only this time in the realm of the living. Meaning that while Evelyn consumed the flesh of ghosts in the realm of the dead, these new victims would likely consume the flesh of the living and in turn bring torment to Earth, the same hellish torment that befell Evelyn and Jim on their home planet. So to recap this theory, these tapes essentially show the effects of a red-eyed demon and his plague of shadows. Effects we see occurring to Evelyn, an alien who crash-landed on Earth trying to escape the plague that killed her own family, but accidentally brought it with her, which led to the cult tricking her brother Jim Johnson into conducting rituals to make communication with her ghost in order to bring the plague and the demon associated with it to Earth. And that's it for today's video, guys. It was a quick look at the tapes from Sally Face, because many of you guys have been asking me to analyze these tapes. And of course there is more to the story than I've described here in this video. There's a lot more to the story of Sally Face than we've talked about here. But of course this is looking at this one sort of side of the story, and I do think that by looking at these tapes and going through this theory that we have today, we actually get quite a lot of information about the overall story of the game, and it's quite easy to piece the rest together from here. So I hope you have enjoyed the video today, guys, and if you have, remember to give it a like. Of course, leave me a comment down below as well. Let me know your thoughts on this game and where you think the story's heading in the final chapter, which is still to come out, chapter 5. And of course, subscribe to the channel for more videos just like this one, and I will see you all on the next one.